Hey, okay, there we are. Technical difficulties today, guys. I am so sorry. It is Wednesday. Welcome to Puck Time. It's Hump Day, and you think we're getting smacked above the head, but Andrew hopefully will be joining the show. We're having some tech issues out in Narnia where he lives, but with that said, still we have a couple games to discuss. So it could just be me today talking to you guys about this and sort of reflecting on yesterday's games. We may have time for a question or two, so you can drop them in the chat if you want. We did a Twitter circle yesterday, and we're going to be doing more of those. A great segment by myself, Andy Lang, and Andrew McInnes. A lot of you guys tuned in, and we really appreciate it. And dropped some questions. We talked props, we talked the games. Hopefully, gave out a few winners in what was another crazy night in the NHL. Florida continues to roll. They beat the Leafs 4-2 in the opener. And another road team, the Seattle Kraken, in overtime, get it done against the Dallas Stars, who I keep referring to as the Minnesota Stars, but I call them Dallas today. And if we're talking about streaks and we're talking about home teams or visiting teams winning, have a look at this one, if we can pop it up on the screen. This is from our stat daddy, Ralph Michaels. Excuse me. After last night's 2-0 sweep, visitors are now 33-19 in this year's playoffs. They're hitting at a 63.5% hit rate with an average line of plus 123. If you're hitting 63.5% with plus money wagers, that is an awesome thing. 38.1 ROI plus 11.19 units. And we have a couple road teams tonight in these two games that some of you might believe have shots to win, as the New Jersey Devils take on the Carolina Hurricanes, and of course the Vegas Golden Knights hosting the Edmonton Oilers. So let's go to the games right now. And Dan, what are we going to do first? So we're going to look at New Jersey and Carolina. Again, guys, sorry it's a one host show today, but we'll try and get through this. It might be a very short show. Andrew is here. So the line on this one is Carolina minus 120, New Jersey plus 100. The total 5.5 shaded, heavily shaded to the under at minus 135. Game one, and I just put up that stat with the road teams. Of course, Carolina coming off a series win. Look who's here. We have Andrew McInnes. So Andrew, I'm going to go to you first on this game. Welcome to the show. Thanks for coming on Puck Time today. Tell us your thoughts on this game.
Well, most of the time, Carm, I wish I lived in the same city as you so we could hang out and watch some games. And at this point, I think you probably want to kill me this morning. So I'm happy we're in different cities. But I'm happy to be on the show with you and finally be able to log in and get going here on this show. And that is an unbelievable stat as far as the road teams are concerned. Yesterday, I was on WagerTalk today. And as you know, Steve and Teddy, they don't always have hockey-related follow-up questions for me. But Teddy pretty much said, why should I not be betting these away teams blindly? And why should I not be taking these big underdogs blindly? And, well, yesterday, if he did that, he probably would have made some money with the Florida Panthers and Seattle Kraken. And now there's an opportunity for people to do that as well. Very interesting, though, in this series that New Jersey are the favorites in the series. But, of course, Carolina opens the series at home, and they are the favorites in game one. Here's the thing I will say. I mean, New Jersey, I was blown away by their speed. The first two games, they certainly seemed a little bit thrown off by the playoff hockey, but they settled in very well against New York, and they took the Rangers to school in Game 7. But what I will say is that Carolina and their forwards are a hell of a lot more defensively responsible than the forwards of the New York Rangers. And I think you'd agree with me on that one, Carm. Patrick Kane, Tarasenko, Zibanejad, Panarin. I'm sorry, those guys are superstar players, but they don't really play much defense. They don't back check. And that's the best part about the Carolina forwards is that all of them buy in defensively. We know how great the goaltending has been, whether it's been Anderson or Ranta. And as far as New Jersey, ever since Schmid took over, he has been outstanding. So I might take a back seat as far as the side in this game, but I'm rather comfortable going with what the odds makers are thinking on the total and actually looking towards the under in this game, under 5.5. I don't like, Carm, how much money has come in on it that it's getting to 135, 40. You almost think it's going to get to a 5 at some point. I know we did see that New Jersey offense kind of go off in Game 7 against New York, but I think we will see a defensive battle in Game 1. So I'll take the under 5.5 here for New Jersey and Carolina.
All right. I look at this game and I get the total. Since making the switch to Akira Schmid, three of those 4 games stayed under the total. Just that one big win by the Rangers to send it to Game 7. But the difference was, if you watch that Game 7, and the Rangers missed a lot of opportunities in the first period, but the Devils were the better team. They deserved to win that series. The difference is, I think, between facing the Rangers and facing Carolina is, if you watch the Rangers, they literally showed no life in that Game 7. And you can say it wasn't a flat spot. It wasn't anything other than it's a Game 7, and their big guys just didn't show up. It just seemed like, with all the stars, was there a true leader? If you had to say to yourself, pick one guy on this team for the Rangers who's a leader in the dressing room, a leader on the ice, and I don't think you could find one. And I think at the end of the day, that's what cost them in Game 7. They didn't have one. You look at Carolina, what you see is what you get. They play almost the same game day in and day out, game in and game out, 82-game season, same thing in the playoffs. They're very good at home. They have been the last couple of seasons. I think they've only lost 2 home games in the playoffs. One to the Rangers last year, and then one to the Islanders this year. So they're a much better team at home. When I talked about this series and the series price of the Devils being favored, I'm surprised. I'm surprised in the sense of, I would never lay a vig with a team that does not have home ice in the playoffs, because here's the thing: is if this series was to go 7 games, who is the favorite in Game 7 in Carolina? Carolina's the favorite in Game 7. So why lay a series price on a team that, if it was to go 7 games, would never be the favorite in that series? I just couldn't do it. That's my reasoning. Whether you like it or not, I'm not saying that the Devils aren't the right side to win the series. I'm just saying I would never lay minus 130, minus 140 on the Devils to win the series. I would rather probably play it in series and see if I get a better price. And if Carolina was to win tonight, then New Jersey now becomes probably plus 130, plus 140. You get the better price there. If the Devils win tonight, then of course New Jersey goes from 130 to probably 180, 190, and it's just not a play anymore. So I'd rather not play the series price and wait till the end of Game 1. But I do think that given those stats that Ralph Michael gave us, the 33 and 19 stat, that Carolina is the right play tonight. It is not for those guys out there like TJ and the other guys. It's not disrespecting the Devils. It is looking at Carolina and saying, I just think Carolina at home is a tough beat. They're very tough to beat at home. They don't lose very often, and I'm going to go with the short price on Carolina here at minus 120.
Carm, you don't want to try and get too caught up in the streaks and the trends, but of course they are worthy of mentioning and looking at, especially with that number of the away teams. But I kind of get the sense that with all the craziness we saw in round 1, we might see the favorites do well in round 2. We'll see what happens. That's kind of my feeling here. We might see them, obviously we're only 1 game in, and Florida and Seattle settle in there, but and they got the win in Game 1. But I think we might see a little bit less craziness in round 2 than we did see in round 1. But obviously the first games wouldn't really indicate that. Quick props I wanted to mention: Sebastian Aho for the Carolina Hurricanes, obviously one of their top players. You look at this Carolina team, and usually you think that they aren't really a great team to bet props on, because, as you know, they win all their games by scoring just 3 goals, 2-1, 3-2 type of games. So I saw him at minus 165 to get a point. But as we know, this Carolina power play has been really good as well. You can get Sebastian Aho to record a power play point, which is something you introduced me to a few years ago, at plus 240. I thought that was a really good price there for a guy that will be out there every time on the power play, plus 240 for Sebastian Aho to get a power play point. Also looking at guys like Brent Burns, who's been so great this year, a defenseman that, like I said, people never realize that defensemen are, you get so much value on them because nobody really picks them up for props. And for the Devils, I kind of had my eye on a few different guys, but Palat was the number one guy that stuck out to me, Carm. Yanni Gourde scores the game winner yesterday for Seattle, and Palat has a big game 7 for New Jersey. 2 players that were a part of that Stanley Cup winning streak there for the Tampa Bay Lightning, and they sure could have used those guys in their first round against the Maple Leafs, and they're doing very well with their own teams. But Palat and Aho, my 2 prop guys for this game.
I like the Aho one. I'm looking at even the Aho shots on goal because he had a good first opening series as far as his SOGs go. So I'm looking at that as well too. Before we get to the second game, so yesterday I go out. I'm just a quick story here. I was going to do the top of the show, but that's if both of us started the top of the show, Andrew. I'm going to keep plugging away at that one. And I told you, I made good on a bet with my friends who I hound them all year long, every season about the Leafs. So I said they wouldn't make it out of the first round. They made it out of the first round. I took them all out for food and drinks yesterday. And there's nothing better than, although I was on the losing side of that one because I did have the Leafs, there's nothing better than seeing the faces of everyone there we're already planning the parade. It's only one game, but they're already planning the parade. And Florida wins that game 4-2. Let me tell you, and we said it on yesterday's show, Andrew, is this Florida team, they're just getting hot at the right time. The last couple of weeks of the season, the series against Boston, and what I thought could possibly be a flat spot, I was wrong. I was completely wrong about them, and I was wrong about the Dallas game. And when you're wrong, you've got to admit you're wrong. But I thought there's no way the Leafs would play as bad as they did in game 1 of their previous series against Tampa, and they didn't. Leafs played a very good game and lost 4-2. That's a scary thing when you're heading into game 2 because all the pressure is on the Leafs, and I know a lot of people are going to say must win. The Leafs are going to split, must win. And even I said I would take the loser of game 1 and game 2. I'm not entirely sure after watching game 1 that I want to take the Leafs in game 2. I'm going to mull this over for quite a while, but it's probably the wrong angle at this point because this Florida team is playing really well. We'll see what happens. Andrew, the interesting thing is, I'm going to throw this to you before you lead into the second game, is if you're the Florida Panthers, okay, and you started Alex Lyon yesterday, who played very good, do you come back with Alex Lyon? Because I think the idea was to give Bobrovsky a game off after the heavy workload. Do you come back with Alex Lyon?
Last night was Bobrovsky, Carm.
I thought it was Alex Lyon in goal.
No, Bobrovsky, sure? 36 saves, 2 goals against, .94.
Well, then I'm completely wrong on that one.
Sorry.
I wasn't even watching the goalies. I just figured, okay, well, that's bad on me. See, it's even worse. That's all good. I saw Alex Lyon coming out onto the ice. That's even worse on me.
That's all good.
But that's probably what buying all those beers for the guys did to me yesterday. But all right, well,
I want to, because you've been handicapping soccer for many years, and I know this is a hockey show, but I've noticed this year in the NHL playoffs, a lot of things, it's about counterattacking. All my buddies that played soccer, they always say possession doesn't mean everything. And Carm, I've really noticed that this year in the NHL playoffs. It almost seems like it could be frustrating. If the Maple Leafs have 3 power plays in the first period, if they're cycling the puck around and around and around and around, and then all of a sudden Florida gets the puck for 1 minute and they score, that's got to be deflating. And I see that all the time in soccer where a team will have 65% possession, but they're down 2-0. What can you say about that? Because I haven't really seen that as much in the National Hockey League game as we do in other sports. But look at Seattle last night even. Dallas dominated that, I'd say the first 30 minutes of that game. And they're down. You know what I mean? As far as possession and that kind of stuff goes, Dallas was looking pretty good, but Seattle made use of their chances.
Yeah, I'm still trying to wrap my head around the whole Alex Lyon thing, first of all. But secondly, with the first of all, with the Dallas thing, a quick note on that one. So I leave, hop into an Uber. It's 2-1, it's 2-1 for Dallas, and then I get a message because I'm just returning some emails in the car, and I get a message, and they're like, "My God, Dallas just fell apart." And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" I check, and Seattle scored 3 goals in 1 minute, literally a little over a minute. I don't even know how any playoff team at home does that, but they managed to do that. But to your point of it has to be deflating to a team that has all the pressure on, and even ones we've seen it, all the pressure on to get a power play. The other team scores a shorthanded goal. It's deflating to a team. But I think you have to look at the game as a whole. And you can't look at that just that sort of that one goal. And sometimes that leads to better in-game betting opportunities. Andrew, you bet in-game. I know the Perez bets in-game. And sometimes when you're watching a game, you can get a feel for what is going on. And you hope it's not something that is deflating and that you can take advantage of, because the lines, especially the NHL in-game lines, are absolutely crazy, in which you can almost lock up plus money throughout a game on both sides. And it's not you're locking in a profit. It's not hedging per se, but it's almost arbitraging. Let's say, and you can lock in a plus money, especially with some of these teams that are blowing 2-0 leads. All of a sudden, it's 2-2, and you're getting a better price. But with that said, in soccer, I saw it on Monday quickly. Before we get to the next game, the Leicester-Everton game, the Everton was all over them first 15 minutes. I thought to myself, how do I get out of this bet? And then before I knew it, it's Leicester on the board, and I think they were up 2-0 at one point. So it's one of those things where you can take advantage of, sort of, again, Andrew, those are the ones you want to bet in game, but you can't let that influence whether your play was right or wrong. It's like you said, the Dallas game, they dominated for the first 30 minutes. If they built a 3-1 or a 4-1 lead, the game is over. They kept Seattle in the game, and that's how it goes. It's the same thing with Game 7. The Rangers didn't capitalize. The Devils score that goal, and it's deflating to the Rangers, and they never recovered. So it sort of goes both ways. So apologies to everyone, first of all, on that Alex Lyon thing. When I arrived at the restaurant, my buddy says, I can't believe they started Alex Lyon. So that's why it stuck in my head. It didn't change, because we talked about it on the circles, the Twitter circles or Twitter space, whatever it is, that they had announced that Alex Lyon was starting. So that's maybe it's Paul Maurice playing games with me, Andrew, and let's throw out Alex Lyon and then put in Bobrovsky. So apologies on that one. I'm going to get something wrong every show.
Yeah, Paul Maurice heard the hate you were giving at him all season long. He was messing with you with the early lineups. Let's get into Edmonton and Vegas here, guys. Edmonton, they took 7 of a possible 8 points against Vegas during the regular season, but Vegas finished with just a few more points during the regular season. They get home ice against the Edmonton Oilers. However, Edmonton minus 115, Vegas minus 105, total at 6.5, as we'd expect in this series. Shaded towards the over at minus 115. And looking at the pathway that each team took to get to where they are right now, Vegas, they knock off Winnipeg. However, I don't think we really got to see what Vegas is fully capable of. Winnipeg missing their top defenseman, missing their top goal scorer, and missing their second best goal scorer. It seemed to me that Vegas cruised by after game 1 and never really looked back. Meanwhile, Edmonton, they had to deal with LA's defense, man. They were really rough, but a lot of those games were also pretty wide open. Every single game that Edmonton won, they scored 4 goals or more, Carm. What do you have for us in this series? It should be a great one.
Andrew, just before I go into this, I got a quick question for you before we get into this game. Any idea what's going on with Phil Kessel? Because he was scratched as it said coach's decision. Any idea?
I have no clue.
As to why he was a healthy scratch?
He was on the third line one day, and next time I see him, he's just off the list. So yeah, I'm not sure. I kind of feel bad for him, though. People making some pretty bad right now. But
well, they are. It's a thing with Phil Kessel, because he takes pictures with a Stanley Cup that's loaded with hot dogs. He takes what's thrown at him, and he has fun with it. So it's what you do. You sort of flip hate into right back with a joke like that. But okay, anyways, getting back to this game, I just had a question because I saw as far as today's that he was questionable coach's decision again. And I was just wondering if he was going to be a healthy scratch again tonight. I just didn't know what was going on there. Anyways, you look at this game and
too, the Ironman streak
what's that?
He had was 1,064 consecutive games played, and of course that was during the regular season at least.
Yeah, so his regular season Ironman still will continue. It is the playoffs. I was reading online, the playoffs don't come into it, so we'll see how much truth there is to that, just as much as how much truth there was to Bobrovsky or Alex Lyon starting yesterday in goal. But we get them wrong sometimes. Listen, Andrew, I look at this game and the Oilers. I took the Oilers to win the series, so I'll put that out there right now. I took the Oilers to win the series. I think they're just playing such good hockey right now. They're playing better defensively, and that's not something that we saw at points during the season where everyone thought, is this going to be the same Oilers team that once they get to the playoffs, it's Skinner and Jack Campbell, whichever combo goes in net is going to be exposed, like Mike Smith the previous year. But they're playing better defensively. Their forwards are coming back. They're getting production from all of their lines. They're playing like a complete team right now. I love the way the Oilers are playing right now. I have to take them in game one. I think they're the right play here. I get it. They stacked up better against Vegas during the regular season as well, too. I think they match up really well with Vegas. We'll see what this Vegas team has as well, too, because they're the number one seed. But this is one where if you told me before yesterday's game, who do I see meeting in the West Conference Finals, I would have said it would be Dallas versus the Edmonton Oilers. That would be my original pick. Is it still the same now? I still think it could be and should be, and you're going to get a good price on Dallas because they lost game one. But to the point of this, I just think the Oilers are playing extremely well right now. They're a completely different team for the Vegas Golden Knights to face than the Winnipeg Jets were, because there's a lot more scoring on this team. I think they play better defensively than Winnipeg played in that series, and I think they just match up better well. And usually it's the matchups. And we talked about last year, the matchup wasn't great for Toronto and Tampa. This year, Toronto improved their team. They played a different game, and their matchup was much better. It's the same thing here. I think the Edmonton Oilers are the right play here. And this is one of those ones where I'm going against what I said earlier, which was it's tough to take a series price on a team that does not have home ice advantage. But I expect the Edmonton Oilers to win at least one of the first two games in Vegas. And it would not surprise me if this wins 7 games, I would still say the Oilers are favored in game 7. So the Oilers are my play for me. And I'm going to have a prop bet on this game at the end of the show.
Awesome. We'll get that from you in the best bet section. And I'm right there with you on this one. And, Carm, at the start of the show, I mentioned that the Devils went from, playing against a team in the Rangers that the forwards weren't really defensively responsible. And now they're playing a Hurricanes team. And I look at it like right now, when it comes down to this Edmonton situation where even though the games were high scoring, I still think the LA forwards are a lot more responsible defensively than Vegas's forwards are. And I look at Vegas, I'm not trying to look, I don't think I honestly, guys, don't believe we've seen the full Vegas yet. And that's a little bit concerning for me because, like I said, with Norrisy and Scheifele and Ehlers being out, there were some close games, but Vegas, that was the biggest blowout series. I think we could all agree on that one for the most part. But I don't think that Vegas can match up line for line with Edmonton. I really don't. And honestly, the amount of chances that Winnipeg had to score on Vegas where they just didn't have the talent to do it, I think Edmonton has the talent to do so. I think that if you like Vegas, that means you like the under. If you like Edmonton, you probably like their team total over 3.5, which is where I'm going to go in this game. Any game you like Edmonton, I recommend taking a look at that team total. And most of the time, I say that to try and get better odds, right? To avoid a big price during the regular season. But even in this instance, I've cashed many tickets all year with Edmonton where they lost 5-4 and still covered that team total. But in general, in a lot of their victories, and looking at round one and all 4 of their victories, they did cover their team total. And that's where I'm going to go today, Carm. The over 3.5 for the Edmonton Oilers here. They're a team that puts up goals in bunches. They're a great third period team. They do not take their foot off the gas pedal, and you can get plus 105 on over 3.5 team goals for the Edmonton Oilers. So that's what I'll look at for this game. It should be a really good one. And kind of like, what Andy was saying yesterday on the Twitter Spaces, you guys can catch us again today at 4 p.m. Eastern, about just watching and learning. And I'm really curious to see what the matchups are like, how Bruce Cassidy handles it, how Jay Woodcroft handles the matchups. But it should be interesting. Carm, before we jump into best bets and some promotional stuff, I wanted to ask if you agree with me on that Vegas and the under is correlated and Edmonton and the over. I know you gave respect to Edmonton's defense, and I do agree with that. But do you think that Vegas, if they're successful, they're going to keep things low scoring?
Yeah, they absolutely have to. The key to Vegas winning this game and winning the series is don't turn this into. You can't turn this into an open ice game. If they give the Oilers open ice, the series is over. It's done because there's so much speed on this Edmonton team. I like the Vegas defense, but they are going to be tested because you're going to see Leon Draisaitl out there. You're going to see McDavid out there. They're going to get extra shifts, and so there are going to be times where they're going against that third line for the Vegas Golden Knights or the second or third defensive pairing for the Golden Knights as well too. And that is where we're going to see they need to shut those guys down. They need to clog up the ice. They need to get the pucks out of their own zone and not give the Oilers a lot of ozone time, because if they do, they're just going to get killed. But Vegas can do it. I've seen them do it. The series against Edmonton, I think we talked about it on Monday. All 4 games went over the total. There was 3 games that were 4-3 final scores. And I think the series was 3-0-1, one game in overtime. But you look at Edmonton, they just seem to have gotten better. The Knights have to stay out of the box. And look what happened to the LA Kings in the last round. The Oilers scored on 56.4% of their power plays. That's an unbelievable amount of power plays. Basically, one of every 2 power plays, the puck was in the net. You cannot take penalties against this team because they're just going to make you pay for it. But the keys is slow down that line, clog up the neutral zone, and keep the puck out of your own end, the ozone time. There was a game earlier near the end of the regular season where Colorado and Edmonton played, and I think the game finished 2-1, and the puck was never in Edmonton's or in Colorado's zone. Every time it got in there, they got the puck out as quick as possible. Never gave Edmonton a chance to cycle the puck and to set up a play or to tire out the forwards and defense and keep them out there for a minute while they cycle the puck. And it was a dead under, and that's the key for Vegas, to do the exact same thing. Get the puck out of their own zone as much as they can, and keep McDavid off the ice or in his own zone. Keep him at in the neutral zone. It's the biggest thing. Like you said, Andrew, it's Edmonton or the over, or it's Vegas and the under. We're not going to see these games that the Golden Knights are winning 4-3, 5-3. It's just not going to happen. It's I think you correlate the two. Vegas to the under and Edmonton to the over. I like Edmonton tonight, so you can tell where I'm leaning as far as the total goes.
I can, and I'll just take the team total for Edmonton. It kind of reminds me of when LeBron James was asked, how do you contain Steph Curry? He said to him, the same way you do it to me. You just can't. And that's the same thing with Connor McDavid. If you're Vegas, you want to make the other players beat you. Make Zach Hyman and Evander Kane and Nugent Hopkins be the MVPs. Don't let Draisaitl and Connor McDavid run the show. Easier said than done, though, Carm. That's for sure. Guys, we want to invite you to try the coupon code TRYWT. You can use that at WagerTalk if it is your first time purchasing a package for a 1-day or a 3-day all-access pass. That will get you 50% off. So be sure to check that out. TryWT. If you see anybody has a big play today or a couple of different plays going on, as you guys know, Carmine and I do several different sports, not just hockey. We've got baseball, we've got soccer, we've got UFC, we've got so many different things we're doing that you can use this TryWT and take 50% off your first daily or 3-day all-access pass. What we also have going on is a BOGO special, a buy one, get one for the remainder of our NHL season pass. You can get that. You'll get all of our props, all of our sides, all of our totals as well in one package. You can get that at my profile page. You can get it at Carm's profile page, and you can hop on board with us for all of our client plays for the remainder of the playoffs. With that being said, Carm, I will throw it over to you for your best bet and anything else you have to mention.
All right, that was good. I like the BOGO package as well too, Andrew. We're going to, knock on wood, we are going to have a good finish to the NHL playoffs. As far as the one-day all access is a great deal today. I have 5 plays up in soccer going on, and the first game goes off at noon. If you miss that, there'll be a 4-pack up, and those plays are all 3 p.m. games, so you'll be able to grab those ones. NHL, a plays and props package, 5 plays on today's card, a couple plays on the games, and then 3 prop plays. You get them over again at WagerTalk, and then I'm going to have 1 MLB game up for this evening as well too. My show best bet, Andrew, we hit yesterday's. I'm going to see if we can hit today's as well too. I'm going to go with a Vegas guy, Jonathan Marshall show, over 2.5 shots, minus 125. The series against Winnipeg was completely different. I think he only went over his total once, but against the Edmonton Oilers this year, it was almost like the top line, the top line versus the top line. He hit in 3 or 4 games and had 3 very good games against the Oilers during the regular season. And I think he'll be a big part of it tonight. I think he's going to get over this number. I really like, because it's low juice, low vig. And it's always tough to say minus 125 is low vig, but it is for the shot props. So I'm going to go over 2.5, minus 125. And let's see if we can get another winner out there for you guys.
I love that one. And it's going to be a really fast pace. Even if Vegas doesn't want it to be, it's going to be a fast game. Same thing for me, guys. Just 2 plays in hockey today, it's looking like, and a team total play on the bases in the MLB. You guys can tell I started the show. One play I really did like. I don't like the juice on it as much, but I'm going to go with the under 5.5 Devils and Hurricanes. If there's one thing that Carolina knows how to do, they know how to protect home ice. And I guess the other thing is play defense. They will shut down the Devils. The Devils have great goaltending as well with Schmid. And I do trust Freddie Anderson between the pipes for Carolina. This one should be a good one, but a low-scoring game, if that. We'll go under 5.5 at minus 130, 135 for my show best bet. Carmine has Jonathan Marchessault for his best bet over shots on goal. I apologize, guys, for the technical difficulties. That's completely on me, and I will try and make that better tomorrow. Recap on the screen. You guys can see it. Thank you for joining us, and hope you join us on Twitter for Twitter Spaces at 4 o'clock Eastern Time. WagerTalk today coming up in just a few minutes here, right here on WagerTalk TV.
Have you checked out all the new handicappers at WagerTalk? If not, here's your chance. You can take 50% off your first daily or 3-day all-access purchase at WagerTalk using coupon code TRYWT. Our new roster of experts is 30 deep, covering sports from all around the world, giving you tons of options to choose from. All you have to do to redeem this offer is go to WagerTalk.com, choose a handicapper of your choice, and use coupon code TRYWT at checkout, saving 50% on your first purchase.